Let's now go to lie number one. And again, I'm just going to tell you right now, Leandra, I am in awe. I am impressed at the magnitude, the boldness of her lies. I mean, I could only dream to lie that well. I am just lying, kidding, of course. But wow, her lies are epic. Approximately around June 16th of 2008, she decides that she's going to leave the house and go on a business trip, an out-of-town business trip. I believe it's to the Tampa area or something like that. And she was going to bring her daughter with her. All right.
That's correct.
Now, that does not seem like that out of the ordinary. I go on business trips all the time. This is an out-and-out lie because she had no job.
Interesting that she took Kaylee with her, and later we'll find out why. But you know, George and Cindy really had a hand in raising Kaylee. It wouldn't have been unusual for them to keep and watch Kaylee while Casey went and did her work stuff. So interesting, and again, we find out why Kaylee went with her. But just interesting that she wasn't left with the grandparents.
So for several years, let's just get this straight. For several years, Casey was leaving the house and going to this job, dropping her daughter off at some daycare to go to this job. And now she's actually going out of town for a job trip. Here's the lie. She had no job. She had no nanny. What's going on here?
Yeah, she's crazy.
What was she primarily doing during these 31 days? She wasn't going on a business trip. She wasn't going
She was partying.
Party.
She was partying. She was doing wet t-shirt contests. I know that everybody's seen the infamous wet t-shirt photos and her dancing on the bar in her little bodycon dress and living it up, living la vida loca. She got a tattoo on her shoulder that was like Latin or Italian or something for It's a Beautiful Life. I mean, your baby's missing and you're acting, this is how you're acting. It's a Beautiful Life.
Welcome to episode 1, season 1 of Murder to Verdict. I am Joel Oster.
I'm Leandra Hazlett.
And Leandra, this is our very first inaugural episode of our first true crime. I am stoked. I am excited. Are you stoked?
I am so excited.
Is that like an old boomer kind of thing to say, stoked?
Stoked. I don't know. I say it sometimes.
All right. You know, sometimes you got to try to be young. I got to try to stay with the young people. I don't know. I can't do it in the gym. Maybe I'll use the
I can't
vernacular.
keep up. The kids these days are like 6, 7. I don't even know what that means. So I can't keep up myself.
Not a clue. All right, well, let's get to it. So the Casey Anthony murder trial is going to be the subject of our first season in this podcast. Now, Leandra, we picked the Casey Anthony murder trial because that's what you asked us to do. So I need you to explain now why we are starting. Why does this case fascinate you so much that it is our very first subject of our very first season?
Absolutely. So this is one of my all-time favorite cases. It's a case that got me interested in the criminal justice system. I was in middle school maybe when this occurred. And I remember just being fascinated by.
I feel old.
The whole.
Go on.
Sorry. I just remember being fascinated by the entire process. I remember being fascinated for the facts of the case all the way down to the acquittal at the end, which I guess I'm not spilling any beans because everybody knows she was ultimately acquitted. But I've been fascinated from the beginning. It's one of my favorite cases, and I think it illustrates the issues and also the purpose of our criminal justice system, and it's fascinating.
Well, it just dawned on me as you were talking that we just celebrated the 30th anniversary of the O.J. Simpson verdict. Leandra, I trembled to even ask you this question. Were you alive when the O.J. verdict was read?
When was no, not if there's been 30 years. No, I wasn't.
Wow, I feel old. Wow. Okay, well, you know what? This is going to be a lot of fun. Anyways, the two different perspectives. You got prosecutor, criminal defense lawyer, constitutional lawyer, and then also a boomer and someone who's not a boomer. All right. Well, let's. So the Casey Anthony murder story is a story that you say really helps you understand what it means to be a lawyer. In other words, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court that is relevant. It's kind of an interesting subject to get started off with here. So let me just kind of throw this idea out to you. I like to stir the pot a little bit. Trials. You're a prosecutor. What is the point of trials? Is it to find out and ascertain the truth? Or is it to simply allow for a fair process? What say you?
Well, that's a really fascinating question. It's both. The jury, it's a fair process. You have a constitutional right to a jury of your peers if you so choose to go that route. And the jury is the finder of fact during a jury trial.
They determine the fact, don't they?
Correct. So we, as prosecutors, put on our case in the form of evidence, whether that be testimony, physical evidence, circumstantial or direct evidence, if you will. And we put it out all on the table. We make our arguments. We submit it to the jury and we say, I'm asking you to review all of this and find that this person's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they're the finder of fact, if they choose to not believe whatever evidence we present them with, and they acquit, they're the finder. They're the truth finders. So
it's almost as if no matter what actually happened in real life, it doesn't really matter to a certain extent, because when the jury speaks, the jury speaks, and that then becomes,
and that's justice.
Right.
And that's
so
justice.
it's a fascinating issue. Is the purpose of trials to ascertain and learn the truth, discover the truth, or is it to simply allow for a fair process? Again, we definitely want to hear from our listeners. We want this podcast to be interactive. If you have an opinion on that issue, go to our social media pages and let us know. But I want to dig into this story, because this story, I did not know about it, which is kind of odd. Because I lived in Orlando, Florida from 2000 to 2005, right before this happened. In fact, I owned property right across the street from where this murder took place. Yeah, I had no idea the neighborhood I was leaving. I should have stayed there. Maybe I could have made a difference. I don't know. I was right there. This is my world. In fact, I have a house in Florida now. I love Florida, and I had no idea this was going on. But since you alerted me to this true crime, I have to admit, this is one wild ride, because I don't think I've ever in my life, and I represented a lot of people, met someone who as good and proficient of a liar as Casey Anthony. Her lies are epic. But before we get there, I know we're going to have a lot of fun going over her lies, because you will not believe the lies that she tried to tell. But we need to actually go over who the players are in the story to kind of give our listeners some context of this story. So let's start with Casey Anthony. Who is Casey Anthony?
So Casey Anthony is the mother of baby Kaylee Anthony, the daughter of, oh my goodness, you're going to have to remind me of her mom and dad's name. George is her father's name.
Cindy was the mother, and George was the father.
Cindy and George Anthony. So they're the grandparents of Kaylee Anthony. Kaylee is the decedent. She was the baby that was murdered, I believe, by Casey.
Hey, we already went over with the jury speaks, the jury speaks. All right, now let's give some context here to Casey Anthony. I have here she was born March 19th, 1986. I can't really do the math of that quickly here, but I'm going to guess she's about 22 years of age when this murder took place. Does that sound about right?
That's about right.
All right, lived in Orlando, Florida. You already mentioned parents George and Cindy. I want to talk about them in just a bit. Her education, she attended Colonial High School in Orlando, Florida, and she didn't go to college, and so she was described as a bright, personable tomboy. Her interests were volleyball, soccer, track, and photography, but she was... What was her job? What would you say her job was when this incident took place? I guess we don't know.
Yeah, so according to her, she worked for Universal,
All right.
but we'll get into that later,
We'll
I
leave it there
suppose.
for
But
now. We don't
yeah,
really know where she worked. Maybe
yeah,
she
no one
worked at
knows.
Universal. We don't know. All right. Daughter Kaylee. Kaylee was born August 9th, 2005. That would put her at about 3 years old. I guess maybe two, almost three, when this incident took place. And so, father, unknown. Is that your
Unknown, yeah.
understanding? We don't really know who the father was?
That is correct. If Casey knew, I don't know that she's ever disclosed it openly.
Okay.
Um,
That's my
but she was a
understanding.
young mom. Yeah, yeah, she was a young mom and resided and was raising Kaylee in her home, childhood home with her parents. So Kaylee's grandparents.
So
They
she
all lived in the same
lived
house.
with her parents, Cindy and George. Now, Cindy was a registered nurse. George was a former deputy sheriff in Ohio, which is kind of interesting. He was in law enforcement. Now, describe, if you will, the dynamics of did these guys love each other? Was this a good, loving family? Were they on the outs with each other?
Sure. So the books that I've read indicate that they were kind of enmeshed. They had some issues. There's reports that when Casey gave birth to Kaylee, the first person to hold Kaylee was Cindy
Okay,
instead of Casey. And I think that speaks. I'm not a
interesting.
therapist, but I think that speaks really loudly about the family dynamic and the roles that they played. Um, they the Cindy and George I am pretty sure have been pretty open about in a roundabout way about how bad they enabled Casey her entire life. Casey, still lived at home. She was dependent on her parents for support. Um,
So that's an
and
interesting dynamic that you were just describing. That she's 22 years of age, did not go to college, and she kind of worked, maybe didn't work, but she's living with her parents. And so her parents probably still felt like they were maybe raising the grandchild, but hoping maybe their daughter would be more proactive in making decisions for her child. So I guess you kind of see that dynamic going on in that household. I think the record should also reflect that there was a brother involved named Lee. He was born in the early 1980s. I'm a
1990.
little dyslexic there. And so he was an older brother to Casey, and he also moved to Orlando, Florida in the late 1980s. All right. Anything else about the family dynamics you want to cover before we dig into the 31-day job excursion slash party tour?
Yeah, so I guess I would just reiterate that they were very enmeshed and able in each other's lives, and just really enabled Casey for the behaviors that she presented with.
Okay, and I would even suggest this was actually a dynamic family. I mean, they had their qualms, they had their shortcomings, but this is a prototypical American family. I mean, there's nothing out of
Sure,
the
sure.
ordinary here. This is they're raising a mass murderer, a derelict. I mean, yeah, she's a liar beyond all liars, but still, to the outside world, this is just a normal American family.
That is correct. Yeah.
All right, let's now go to lie number one. And again, I'm just going to tell you right now, Leandra, I am in awe. I am impressed at the magnitude, the boldness of her lies. I mean, I can only
Yeah.
dream to lie that well. I am just lying, kidding, of course. But wow, her lies are epic. So let's start with here the first lie, which was approximately, again, we're looking backwards, but so you don't really have a good start date, but approximately around June 16th of 2008, she decides that she's going to leave the house and go on a business trip, an out-of-town business trip. I believe, it's to the Tampa area or something like that. And she was going to bring her daughter with her. All right.
That's correct.
Now, that does not seem like that out of the ordinary. I go on business trips all the time. This is an out and out lie because she had no job. What was your understanding or thoughts on this start off lie?
Um, Interesting that she took Kaylee with her, and later we'll find out why. But George and Cindy really had a hand in raising Kaylee. It wouldn't have been unusual for them to keep and watch Kaylee while Casey went and did her work stuff. So interesting, and again, we find out why Kaylee went with her. But just interesting that she wasn't left with the grandparents.
So for several years, let's just get this straight. For several years, Casey was leaving the house and going to this job, dropping her daughter off at some daycare to go to this job. And now she's actually going out of town for a job trip. Here's the lie. She had no job. She had no nanny. What's going on here?
Yeah, she's crazy. She's actually crazy.
Can you imagine she actually woke up every morning in the house, maybe had breakfast with George, and maybe Cindy made her some eggs. I don't know. And they had a conversation. How's work today? Oh, today I'm going to... And she's going to make it up because she had no job.
Yeah, I can't wrap my brain doesn't operate fast enough to come up with like the level of lies that
Right.
Casey came up with on the spot.
Now, these lies lasted for approximately 31 days. And so during this time period, as you already alluded to, the mother, Cindy, was very involved, and they were kind of raising baby Kaylee. So they were probably calling their daughter and saying, hey, where is our grandchild? Let us talk to our grandchild. When are you going to come home? And at every turn, she had an excuse.
Yep.
Insane, crazy. All right, so let's go here to the end of her 31-day excursion. By the way, what was she primarily doing during these 31 days? She wasn't going on a business trip. She wasn't going out of town.
Partying. She was partying. She was doing wet t-shirt contests. I know that everybody's seen the infamous wet t-shirt photos and her dancing on the bar in her little bodycon dress and living it up, living la vida loca. She got a tattoo on her shoulder that was like Latin or Italian or something for "It's a Beautiful Life." I mean, your baby's missing and you're acting. This is how you're acting. It's a beautiful life.
I have a friend who said he would never hire a person who ever got a tattoo because that shows such a lack of foresight and understanding of the real world. And so I got
take me off the roster.
You have a tattoo.
I have several tattoos, and I have my nose pierced, which is so funny because when I was 18, I came home. My mom was like, "You're never gonna have a job," and I'm like, now looking back, I've tried jury trials with my little baby nose ring. I don't know if you can't even see it. She's so cute and tiny. But
your mom was a wise person. No, I have no tattoos primarily because I'm a wimp and I just can't stand needles. I can't imagine the thought of some needle with the ink. No, not for me. All right. Well, that being said, she was 31 days out there partying, and then here she had her car, which actually wasn't her car. It was a Pontiac Sunfire, which I used to have a Pontiac Sunfire, and so it was the parents' car, and she left it, I believe, at a cash checking facility, and so she just left it there. Maybe she didn't realize that these places, especially in Orlando, won't just let you leave your car there for weeks on end. And so eventually they call a towing company and they towed it. And then they sent the dad a notice saying, your car has been towed. Of course, what was his thought? Why is my car being towed? I thought my daughter was driving it. What happened to my car? What happened to my daughter?
Yeah.
So the lies begin to unfold here. And so that's when the dad then goes to get the car. And so they get in the car, and what do they notice about the car?
Well, I think it's Cindy. Cindy's like, it's trashed. It's been sitting in the Florida heat. And she's like, it smells like there's a damn dead body in the car. Like, it stinks in here. But at this point, they have no reason to think there's been any foul play or any dead body actually in the vehicle. She's just riffing. She's like, oh, it stinks. It smells like there's been a dead body in the car, which unfortunate foreshadowing.
It is. And so that they pick up the car and now they're calling their daughter and saying, hey, what's going on here? You've been telling us these lies. You're out there driving around and our grandchild is with some nanny here, some nanny there. What's going on? Come home. Let's come clean. Let's find out what's going on. And so they go to pick up their daughter, right?
Yep.
Casey. And while Casey's in the car, the mother has had it, and the mother makes a 911 call. So let's pick up this story right here, and let's go to this 911 call. I'm going to play this call for you, and then I want to get your take on what is going on. So let's go ahead and play this 911 call.
What's the address of your emergency?
4937 Hope Spring Drive.
4937 Hope Springs
Drive, Orlando.
Okay, what's happening?
I have someone here that I need to be arrested in my home.
They're there right
I have
now?
a possible missing child. I have a 3-year-old that's been missing for a month.
A 3-year-old?
Yes.
Have you reported that?
I'm trying to do that now, ma'am.
Okay, what did the person do that you need arrested?
My daughter.
For what?
For stealing an auto and stealing money. I already spoke with someone. They said they would patch me through the Orlando Sheriff's Department, have a deputy here. I was in the car.
All right, hold on one second here. That actually is out of order. So let me just hold on a second. I'm going to play another tape, and then we'll just act like it was the first one.
Please just say on being recorded. How can I help you?
County Potential Weapon Pershing and come on.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, I drove to the police department here on Pershing, but you guys are closed. I need to bring someone into the police department. Can you tell me where the closest one I can come into?
What are you trying to accomplish by bringing them to the station?
I have a 22-year-old person that has grand theft sitting in my auto with me.
So the 22-year-old person stole something.
Yes.
Is this a relative?
Yes.
Where did they steal it from?
My car and also money.
Okay, is this your son?
Daughter.
Okay, so your daughter stole money from your car?
No, my car was stolen. We've retrieved it today. We found out where it was at. I've retrieved it. I've got that, and I've got affidavit for my banking account. I want to bring her in. I want to press charges.
Where did all of this happen?
Oh, it's been happening.
No, but I need to establish a jurisdiction is what I'm trying.
Oh, I live in Orlando.
Yeah, but what address did these thefts occur at?
Well, I guess my residence, I guess.
Okay.
4937 Hope Spring Drive.
That's actually going to be in the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office, ma'am, not the Orlando Police Department.
All righty.
Let me transfer you over to the communications section for Orange County.
Okay. Now, is the Orlando Sheriff's Department the one on 436, is that open this afternoon, this evening?
The substation you're at on Pershing, if it's Orlando Police, we're open primarily during the day.
Uh-huh.
But that's not the sheriff. That's the city police, which does not have jurisdiction for your
I know there's a sheriff's department on 436.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer you to the sheriff's communications section, and you can determine that. Hold on.
Okay. Because my next thing will be down the trial thing, and we'll have a court order together. If that's what you want to play, we'll do it, and you'll never. Well, then you have on one day. No, I'm not giving you another day. I've given you a month. Orange County
All right, what do you think? What is going on? Isn't it a surreal moment where the mother is in the car with the daughter and say, "Hey, look, I'm calling 911. Don't make me call 911." She calls 911 with the daughter there, turns the daughter in for stealing her car and then also stealing money from her checking account. What was very telling to me was no real mention or franticness that her grandchild is missing. What are your thoughts?
So my initial thought is, okay, Cindy's finally grown a pair and is trying to hold Casey accountable for something that she's done in her life, maybe for the first time.
Right.
Like drastic decision to call 911 and ask that your daughter be arrested for stealing. Like she's obviously had enough. I
That is
think,
an extreme result, right? It's like you
right.
mentioned earlier that maybe she enabled them throughout their life, and like no more enabling. I'm calling the
Right.
cops on you.
I'm done. Exactly. And I think after like a deeper review or like listening review of the audio is how astonishingly, if that's a word, astonishingly calm Casey is.
Yes.
Casey doesn't give a shit. You can hear she's just like, sorry, excuse me, I don't, sorry listeners. She doesn't care. She's living her best life. She's, whatever. It's neither here nor, it's immaterial to her. She's just like, whatever, you can call 911, whatever. Just give me, and then give
Just
me one more
whatever.
day is what she says. Give me one more day.
One
And I
more
think
day
if
for
this,
what?
so if my memory serves me, and we might have to go back and listen to the same clip, I'm pretty sure Cindy says something about my grandbaby or my granddaughter.
Right.
And Casey is saying, just give me one more day to locate her. But at this point, the lie hasn't developed yet. Cindy doesn't think anything's wrong. Cindy thinks the babysitter, the nanny, has Kaylee.
Okay. All right.
So that was the first 911 call.
Fascinating to get a prosecutor's view on what went on during that call. All right, so now we got the second 911 call.
What's the address of your emergency?
4937 Hope Spring Drive.
4937 Hope Springs.
Drive, Orlando.
Okay, what's happening?
I have someone here that I need to be arrested in my home.
They're
And
there right
I have
now?
a possible missing child. I have a 3-year-old that's been missing for a month.
A 3-year-old?
Yes.
Have you reported that?
I'm trying to do that now, ma'am.
Okay, what did the person do that you need arrested?
My daughter.
For what?
For stealing an auto and stealing money. I already spoke with someone. They said they would patch me through the Orlando Sheriff's Department and have a deputy here. I was in the car. I was going to drive her to the police station, and no one's open. They said they would bring a deputy to my home when I got home to call them.
So she stole your vehicle?
Yes.
When did she do that?
On the 30th. I just got it back from the impound. I'd like to speak to an officer. Can you have someone come out to my house?
Okay. Okay, I gotta ask you these questions so I can put them in the call, okay?
Okay.
30th of June?
Yes.
Okay, how old is your daughter?
22.
Okay, what's her name?
My name?
Her name.
Her name, Casey Anthony. Casey.
And your name?
Cynthia Anthony.
Cynthia, can I get a phone number that I can reach you at?
407-808-4731.
And you said you have the vehicle back?
Yes. And I have the statement.
Casey's there right now?
Yes, I got her. I finally found her after a month. She's been missing for a month. I found her, but we can't find my granddaughter.
Okay, how tall is Casey?
5'1.5".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
And
Color hair?
brown.
What color shirt is she wearing?
White.
What color pants?
Oh, they're shorts. They're plaid. They're like pink and teal and white and black plaid.
Does she have any weapons on her?
No.
Is Casey not telling you where her daughter is?
Correct.
Okay, we'll have a deputy out to you as soon as one's available, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, what was most fascinating to me about that clip was how calm and composed the mother was. What do you take from that?
So I think at this point, it's not even on Cindy's radar that Kaylee is dead. I think
agree.
she genuinely believes that this nanny that Casey's been telling her about for the last however long has custody of Kaylee and just hasn't returned her. I don't think that it's even a twinkle in her eye. Like,
I'm not even sure the mother thinks it's a big deal because she just seems so calm and composed.
Yeah.
If she really believed her granddaughter was being kidnapped somewhere, she would have been freaking out here, and she wasn't.
Right. Right. And actually, this might be a good segue if we just want to jump right in. You can see the juxtaposition or hear the difference between the second call or the first and the second calls to the third call to 911 when Cindy realizes, oh shit, Kaylee's gone.
That's right. So I'm
Still not dead, but gone.
Yeah, I'm going to play the third tape. And you're right. Something happened between the second call and the third call because now the mother is frantic.
911, what's your emergency? I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff. I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl. My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago. My daughter's been looking for her. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. And she just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Kaylee, Caylee, Anthony.
Kaylee Anthony?
Yes.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her?
Hey, Spanish Sheriff's Department, they want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez.
All right, so where do we begin to unpack that call? So first of all, let's note how frantic the mother was. As you alluded to, something happened between call number 2 and call number 3, and now the mother is panicked. What are your thoughts?
So grandma is now freaking out. Yeah, completely freaked out. I think it speaks so loud how opposite Casey is. So
Right.
Cindy's like, oh my God, my baby is missing. My sweet grandbaby, she's gone. The babysitter took her. Something's wrong. Get an officer here. And there's a small part where you can hear in the background where Casey's like, what do they want? And she's like, answer the questions. She's like, hello? I was like, what? Your baby's been missing for 31 days? And the lie that she spins on the spot is fascinating in and of itself. I will never wrap my head around how quick she's able to come up with the story.
She is an amazing liar.
Zenaida Fernandez hyphen Gonzalez or Gonzalez. Like hyphen, like she knows enough to, or like she lies well enough to like be specific about details that you don't even realize. Why would anybody lie like that? Or how can anybody lie like that?
Yeah,
quickly?
so Zandy the nanny, and she even throws a hyphenated version there. Spoiler alert, Zandy the nanny doesn't exist. But yeah, she is going to repeat the entire name with a hyphen. That's how good of a liar she is. She is creative.
It's scary.
All right. So now I want to point out here again, because we are lawyers, right? Doing this podcast. One of the thoughts there that some people might have is, I thought there was a right to remain silent. And here now, Casey Anthony is talking to 911, and no one has read her Miranda rights. And so I think it's kind of important right out of the gate to kind of give this distinction on when Miranda applies and when it does not. Here, who was the operating force forcing Casey to talk?
Well, no one's actually forcing Casey to speak. So Miranda,
someone's pretty close.
Well, I guess her mom is like, hey, talk, answer.
Her mom got her on the phone and said, here's the phone.
Yeah.
You talk to them.
You answer their questions. Sure.
Right.
But I guess as far as like being compelled to incriminate yourself. So you have a right against self-incrimination, or either the Miranda rights to be read, but it only applies when you're in custody, and under interrogation. Okay,
right.
So there's
and
two elements there.
And when it's your mom that's interrogating you, that Miranda does not apply.
That doesn't count.
Your mom can interrogate you all she wants, unless she's a cop. But that does not count. You don't have to be Mirandized. If your mom forces you to talk and you talk, that's on you. That's a defense lawyer's worst nightmare. All right.
Exactly.
So what else about that call? Oh, she said, hey, look, I had a phone call today. I talked to my daughter. She's doing well.
Yeah, she's fine. She's on vacation.
And then but the number that I called is no longer in service. So she tells the lie, and then immediately just burns the bridge so no one can go back over to check out her story.
And it just compounds from the beginning. Like it's this web that starts this big and ends up a football field wide by the end. Right. It's fascinating.
So the cops obviously don't know she's lying. And so the cops are saying, well, we need to go find your child. So what do? They go over and they pick up Casey, and they go over to Zandy, the nanny's apartment where she dropped her baby off. So at this point in time, does she say, oh, Zandy, the nanny doesn't exist? I was just kidding. Or does she say, I don't really know where it is?
No, they end up at an apartment complex. And she's like, here,
an apartment complex.
It's number whatever. I don't know. We'll just say 208 for the time being. Oh, it's over here. And they go and they investigate apartment 208. No one lives there. No furniture. Nothing. Vacant.
Oops, wrong one. Yeah, I mean.
And then they back it up with the front office, I guess, and no one by that name's ever lived there.
Okay, so they check out the apartment of Zandy the nanny. No one lives there. So next part of her story was that she went to work at Universal Studios. In fact, that's where she's been the previous 30 days on various work trips. So they decided to go to Universal Studios to check out her story. And so this is an amazing story. I just can't imagine.
This is one of my favorite parts of the investigation because it's just like I could just imagine it in my head being like, I don't know, like movie-esque.
Right. Because it's at Universal Studios. I mean, this is a ready-to-be-made movie storyline. So to tell the story, they go, there's cops there.
Yeah.
So now Miranda, she's not in custody, though. They show up
she's not in custody.
No, they show up at the guard station. And describe what happened at the guard station.
Yeah, so they go in and she like flashes her badge and they're like, hey, she's like, hey, let me in, like the security, the back lots where the employees go. And they're like, we don't have any record of you here. What? And they see, the security people see that she's with law enforcement and actually just decide to say okay and let her in with the officers.
Right. I mean, it took a while. They had to call someone else up front, and it was like several minutes. They're just kind of hanging out there, calling each other's bluff, saying, we don't see your name. She said, oh, we'll call the supervisor. Well, he doesn't know your name either.
Yeah.
So they're just standing there. And eventually the cops are there. So they say, you know what? Just go on through.
Let her in. Yeah. Right. So they're walking through. They're walking through and she takes them on essentially like a wild goose chase, essentially. But meanwhile, her baby's been missing for 31 days and she's living out this tale. Yeah. So she's waving at people, coworkers, and they're waving back and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? Like this doesn't make any sense. And they essentially, the officers back Casey into a corner.
An actual corner of a hallway.
An actual corner. Like, she's at the dead end. She can't go any further. The jig is up. She turns around and she's like, got me. Like, so.
Wow.
So.
Your daughter is missing.
I don't really work here. I used to. Like, you got me. I don't know. It just, like, is picture perfect in my head. Like, I can just imagine the whole thing. I don't know how the officers weren't like, what? Like, it's almost funny. It's not because Kaylee's missing at this point, but, like, what is happening?
So a couple things for the record. The cops actually knew this was a farce. They already called Universal beforehand. They knew she didn't work there. And so they were just playing along and just trying to see how long she would play out this gig. And literally, actually, she took it all the way to a corner where she went down a hallway and there was nowhere else to go. She turned around, and as you said, you can just picture her putting her hands in her pockets and saying, yeah, you got me. I'm just making this all up. Yeah, your daughter is missing, and this is a game for you.
And you're playing games, yeah.
All right, I'm just going to pause right here. I know I'm going to do this several times during this podcast and just tell you, I don't, if Vegas had gambling odds on whether or not eventually she was going to be convicted for murder, yeah, she's going to be a heavy favorite to be convicted right here. No one is going to bet the under on conviction on this one.
No, never in a trillion years.
Yeah. So at this point in time, they do take her into a room where they then start to question her. Now, also a second item for the record, she actually did used to work for Universal, but it was 2 years prior. And she worked at some kiosk for a ride. So think of like the Hulk ride there at Universal. When you got done at the roller coaster, there's a little place where you can buy a photograph of you when you're going down the roller coaster with that screaming look on your face. That's where she worked. But where she claimed to work was, well, currently at Universal and in their events planning section. Not in some kiosk after some roller coaster ride. All right, so that is all the time we have for today's podcast. And so far, I am just amazed at the audacity of her lies. But Leandra, what I'm more interested in is from a prosecutor's perspective. As you're watching this develop, are you like salivating? Are they like bringing a mop and bucket to clean up the drool on the floor right underneath your mouth?
Absolutely, because I'm just thinking, this is gonna, the trial themes almost write themselves in cases like this. You know what I mean? I'm just like, there's this, you have all the things of a perfect case. You know, you have this mom who's not mourning or freaked out at all. You have a missing baby for the last month that's gone unreported till grandma finally calls 911. You have a daughter that in the 31, or excuse me, you have a mother that in the 31 days that her baby is supposedly MIA. She's partying, wet t-shirt contests, new tattoos, drunk, blacked out at a bar every day of the week, unemployed, doing all the things. And then you have this scenario where once she's caught, she's still lying. She's inhibiting the investigation by lying and taking them on wild goose chases. I mean, it's all the things of a guilty person, all of these, like, the consciousness of guilt. She's not acting like a normal human that lost their baby that's missing or dead.
Right. So here's what I'm fascinated with. So I'm heading out tomorrow to Athens, Greece, where I'm going to do a class on the Socrates trial. Socrates was, put on trial for corrupting the minds of the youth there. So there was a trial to find out whether he's guilty and should pay the price. We just came back from Italy, where we did the Amanda Knox trial, where she was put in jail for 4 years. Did she murder her roommate, Meredith Kircher? You have all these various systems. What is the system we use we have this scene here where her daughter went missing, for 31 days she's out partying. Okay, how do you use that in trial to score a conviction so that justice is done? That's what we're going to uncover in our next episode. So far, I'm thinking this is a slam dunk of a case for the government. If I were in Vegas, the odds would be astronomically in favor of the prosecution because surely they're going to score a conviction. Now, if you know how the story ends, you're saying, but Joel, we know that's not what happened. So what went wrong? Well, stay tuned to our next episode as we begin to unpack the issue of how does a prosecution make its case and how will the defense break that case. So you will not want to miss our next episode.
Because it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Well said.